Bronx Journal. I'm your guest host, Robert Montes. The Bronx Journal is not just the name of this show. It is now a multimedia website featuring the best works by Lehman College journalism and communication students. It was launched just this month, and it features articles, opinion columns, photo slideshows, audio podcasts, and videos from this program. Joining us now to discuss the brand new Bronx Journal website are the two people leading this new venture, Professors Elaine Rivera and Christine McKenna. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, how did the Bronx Journal website originate?
Well, the Bronx Journal has been around for many years, since 1997, when it began as a print publication. It was a monthly publication, a multilingual publication published in languages as varied as Creole, Russian, Haitian, Spanish. Over the years, it had various incarnations, and over the last few years, there's been a growing demand to create multimedia journalism. Today's journalists are now doing work not just in print, but in using video and using images and audio. So we wanted to create a platform to give our students an opportunity to do that.
So journalism is no longer limited to just one medium, which normally is a newspaper.
Yes, so today's journalists are really expected to kind of know a little bit or a lot about these various techniques, and so we needed this platform and this outlet, and so we created this site with a lot of the content from previous print publications, and now over the last year we've been slowly populating it with new, fresh multimedia content.
So what type of journalism does the Bronx Journal newspaper usually covers?
Well, clearly anything related to the Bronx, stories that would be interesting to Bronx residents, as well as people who are just curious about the Bronx. You know, the Bronx has many things going on. There's the socioeconomic issues that face Bronxites. There's many events to attend in the Bronx. You have the Bronx Museum, entertainment, sports. Of course, you have the Yankee organization, the Yankee Stadium, the new Yankee Stadium, that a lot of our students are interested in doing stories. We have blogs where students write about their communities or their living experiences here in the Bronx. So it's a whole array of different types of stories, but it's very Bronx-centric. Anything that affects not just the college, but the whole Bronx community.
So the Bronx residents are the target audience of the Bronx Journal?
Yes, but we want other people to check in into the Bronx Journal to see what's happening in the community, to get people to understand the Bronx better, because a lot of people have an image of the Bronx that goes back to the 1970s, the whole stereotype of the Bronx is burning. Well, the Bronx is going through a major transformation right now in this point in time, and there's a lot of things that we would like to capture regarding that transformation.
We have come a long way, certainly. And who is the editor of the Bronx Journal newspaper?
Well, Professor McKenna and I are both the faculty advisors.
So you guys edit the paper simultaneously, or?
Yes, we work with the students. Chris does a lot of the technical stuff. We both edit content. I spend a lot of time, since I do live in the Bronx, I spend a lot of time scouring newspapers, the weeklies, talking to people in the community to come up with story ideas.
Talking about stories, how do you choose the stories that are published on the Bronx Journal newspaper?
Well, things that are timely, of course. One of the good things about the online publication is, unlike the traditional paper, it only was published a couple times a semester, I think. I came after they ended that, but we try to do breaking news. For instance, when the cobra escaped from the Bronx Zoo.
Yes, I remember.
I had my reporting one students go out. They got quotes from people in the Bronx, and we came back and we posted that on the website. So when they named the cobra, they went out and got more quotes.
Nobody got bitten by the cobra.
So, no,
okay.
I don't know if anyone actually went to the zoo. So,
Okay.
but anyway, it's those kind of things that we try to do. Anything that's breaking, but also features, events. One of our students covered Savion Glover, who's considered one of the greatest tap dancers, maybe the greatest tap dancer in these times. He was performing at Lehman, the Performing Arts Center, and she went and she got wonderful video of him, and we posted that online. So there's just a whole array of stories here.
Seems
in
like
Bronx.
the students are very involved in the whole process
Right.
of the development of the newspaper. Now, do students ever leave the Bronx to do stories for the Bronx Journal?
Rarely. Occasionally, when a story has implications that are New York City, all borough-wide, they will leave the Bronx. But for the most part, we do have one section of our site called Cities of the World, which is actually about cities of the world in various countries. So when our students are traveling to foreign countries, we often encourage them to write kind of in-depth profiles of various cities. Often it's places where they're from and they're
So that will give
returning
like
to.
a variation of the content that's found on the website.
That would be the one exception to our very Bronx-centered content.
Now, since the Bronx Journal is an online publication, how often is the information found on the website updated?
Well, again, this is a process. We've just begun with the launch of this website. We've just now have the power to start doing breaking news. So a lot of this is about educating our students and just putting into place processes whereby if the news is breaking, they know to come to the Bronx Journal. So in terms of updating, it's kind of on a rolling basis. So our longer feature stories come in at various staggered times. There's no one publishing date. It's constantly being updated. In terms of frequency, it tends to vary.
So when a story is chosen for the paper, how long does the process usually take from the development of the story to its actual publication?
Well, what we've done actually just starting this last semester, is we've started something called the Bronx blog. And so that has kind of changed the time span. So what we're trying to do is keep doing the very in-depth, solid features. That's kind of the trademark of the newspaper print publication, but also start doing a lot more breaking news and sending our students out to these events, having them come back. So in terms of a blog piece, for example, might take 2 days. The longer features can take several months.
So it is a very
It's a
long
fairly
process.
rigorous process. I mean, like any other publication, we have our fact-checking, we have vigorous editing, and these are students, so it can take time.
Okay. And because of the diversity of the Bronx, what is the Bronx Journal doing to cater to as many different communities as possible?
Well, first of all, we have a diverse student body, so many of the students bring their stories from their communities.
So you have a multicultural staff and student body.
Foreign exchange students, many students from the African community, of course a huge Latino student body. We had a wonderful story last semester. A student from Africa did a piece on Nollywood, the growing film industry in Nigeria, and those films are coming here, and there's all these African markets that are selling these films.
So these stories are increasing the viewership.
Right, and of course we have the students go out and look for, we have a student now working on how there's a demographic shift taking place and how there's more African students in the public education system. More African Americans are leaving the Bronx, but there's a huge, or a growing African population. And there's, huge changes in the demographics, and we try to capture, those new communities. The Mexican community, clearly the African community, you're right. The Dominicans, Puerto Ricans are leaving the Bronx. They're moving away like African Americans, but they're being replaced by other Latino groups. So we keep track of, the good thing is that the census data is coming out. So we've been able to get some good stories out of that.
So it's good that you guys are doing everything that everybody wants. Now, how beneficial do you believe it is for the Bronx to have a publication that is dedicated to their borough?
Oh, I think it's very important. There's a lot, weeklies. There's, several weeklies, but here you could just go online and you could see stories, like as Professor McKenna pointed out, blog entries. We have a student who lives in a homeless shelter. She's writing installments, and she's a very good writer. And she, to get an investigative reporter into one of these facilities would be impossible. So we're getting the
insider information.
Insider information. So it's very important because I do think the Bronx is undercovered. I think the traditional mainstream media tend to ignore the Bronx or just focus on. I'm not saying all the time. There's some columnists and papers that do a really good job, but they do tend to distort. They have a certain image of the Bronx that is not well-rounded.
So the Bronx Journal is trying to change the image
Right.
that people think the Bronx
Yes.
looks like. So what is the mission, in your own words, of the Bronx Journal? Like, what is the message that is being sent through this publication?
Well, we have a little motto, in the Bronx, about the Bronx, for the Bronx. So first off, we do want to serve the community. But secondly, we really do see it as this is our place where we can show our students how to think in multimedia, give them an opportunity, a platform to experiment with the form, give them the skills that they need to compete. I mean, journalists in this day and age are really expected to know all of these skills, to know how to mix multimedia with interactivity, and this is our tool. So that, combined with the Multimedia Center here, gives our students a leg up when they go out into the working world.